We can send humans to space. We can split the atom. We can map the human genome. But we cannot figure out how they made this. Across the ancient world, our ancestors created technologies so advanced, so precise, that modern science, with all its power, still cannot replicate them. Roman concrete that grows stronger underwater after 2,000 years. A steel so legendary it could cut through European swords like butter. A computer built before the birth of Christ. These aren't myths. These aren't exaggerations. These are documented, studied artifacts that continue to humble our greatest engineers. Welcome to the 7 ancient technologies we still can't replicate today. Let's start with something hiding in plain sight: Roman concrete. Modern concrete typically begins to degrade after 50 years. Exposed to seawater, it crumbles even faster. Yet Roman concrete structures have survived over 2,000 years, and in seawater, they actually get stronger. The Pantheon's unreinforced concrete dome, the largest in the world for over 1,300 years, shows no signs of weakening. Roman harbors still stand beneath the Mediterranean, defying the corrosive saltwater that destroys our modern equivalents. Scientists recently discovered the secret. The Romans mixed volcanic ash with lime and seawater. But here's the mystery. When seawater seeps through the concrete, it triggers a rare mineral growth that strengthens the material over time. We can identify the ingredients. We know the process. But recreating concrete that improves with age, that still eludes us. The Romans accidentally created a self-healing building material. We're still trying to figure out how. In the medieval world, one weapon inspired both terror and awe: the Damascus Steel blade. Forged in the Middle East from the 3rd century onward, these swords had a distinctive wavy pattern on their surface and legendary properties. They could cut through European steel. They could slice a falling silk scarf in half. They remained sharp after battles that dulled ordinary blades. Crusaders brought stories back to Europe of swords that seemed almost magical. The secret died around the 18th century when the specific ore used, Wootz steel from India, became unavailable. Despite centuries of effort, no one has fully replicated authentic Damascus steel. Modern analysis revealed something shocking. These ancient blades contain carbon nanotubes and nanowires, structures we only learned to create in laboratories in the 1990s. Somehow, medieval blacksmiths stumbled onto nanotechnology 1,000 years early. They didn't understand the science. They simply knew the process, a process now lost forever. We can make excellent modern Damascus pattern steel, but the legendary properties of the original, they remain locked in the past. In 1901, divers exploring a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera found something that made no sense. Among the ancient coins and statues lay a corroded bronze object. When researchers examined it, they discovered something impossible: a complex system of interlocking gears, at least 30 of them, designed with a precision that shouldn't have existed for another 1,500 years. The Antikythera Mechanism is, essentially, an ancient analog computer. Built around 150 to 100 BCE, this device could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the positions of planets, and calculate the dates of the ancient Olympic Games. It modeled the irregular orbit of the moon using gear ratios that took modern mathematicians years to decode. Nothing this sophisticated would appear again until medieval astronomical clocks, made over a millennium later. The Greeks had the knowledge to build working computers. Then that knowledge vanished. We found it rusting at the bottom of the sea. The mechanism itself has been studied for over a century, but still, no one knows who built it, or how knowledge this advanced was simply lost. Antonio Stradivari made violins in Cremona, Italy, between 1644 and 1737. 3 centuries later, his instruments are worth millions, and musicians still insist nothing sounds quite like them. Modern luthiers have used CT scans, chemical analysis, acoustic modeling, and computer optimization to study every aspect of Stradivarius construction. We know the wood density. We know the varnish composition. We know the precise geometries, and yet we cannot replicate the sound. Theories abound. Perhaps it was the Little Ice Age which created denser wood. Perhaps it was chemicals Stradivari used to treat the wood. Perhaps it was the unique varnish formula, a recipe that died with him. In blind tests, audiences sometimes prefer modern violins, but professional soloists consistently choose Stradivarius instruments, claiming they have a responsiveness and projection that modern copies lack. Over 650 Stradivarius instruments survive. Each is essentially priceless, a frozen moment of lost craftsmanship that all our technology hasn't been able to resurrect. For 700 years, the Byzantine Empire held off invaders with a weapon so terrifying it was whispered about across 3 continents: Greek fire. This liquid flame could burn on water. It stuck to ships and soldiers. Water didn't extinguish it. Some accounts say it burned hotter when water touched it. Enemy fleets that attacked Constantinople were incinerated by streams of flame sprayed from bronze tubes mounted on Byzantine ships. The formula was the Byzantine Empire's greatest state secret. Only the emperor and a small group of craftsmen knew how to make it. When Constantinople fell in 1453, the secret died with the empire. Theories include mixtures of petroleum, quickite, sulfur, and pine resins. Modern attempts using these ingredients can create something similar, but not identical. The delivery system alone, pressurized bronze tubes that sprayed liquid flame, was centuries ahead of its time. We can make napalm, we can make thermite, but Greek fire's exact composition? It remains locked behind the walls of a fallen empire, one of history's most successful military secrets. According to Roman historians Pliny the Elder and Petronius, during the reign of Emperor Tiberius, a craftsman presented something extraordinary: a glass vessel that could be bent without breaking. When the emperor dented the bowl, the craftsman hammered it back into shape, like metal. Tiberius asked if anyone else knew the formula. The craftsman said no, he alone possessed the secret. According to the accounts, Tiberius had the man executed and his workshop destroyed. His reasoning? If glass could be made as durable as metal, gold and silver would become worthless. The economy would collapse. For centuries, this was dismissed as myth. Then, in 2012, Corning introduced willow glass, thin glass that flexes. Modern Gorilla Glass bends without shattering. Perhaps the Roman craftsman wasn't a legend after all. But we'll never know his exact process. An emperor's fear of disruption made sure of that. High in the Andes Mountains above Cusco, Peru, stands the fortress of Sacsayhuaman, and its walls may be the greatest stone-cutting achievement in human history. These walls are built from stones weighing up to 200 tons, but it's not their size that baffles engineers, it's their precision. Each stone is irregular, with multiple angles and curves, yet they fit together so perfectly that you cannot slide a piece of paper between them. No mortar was used. The stones are held in place by gravity and their precisely carved interfaces. Modern engineers with computer-aided design and diamond-tipped cutting tools have struggled to replicate this precision at scale. The Inca had bronze tools, and supposedly no written language or wheel. When Spanish conquistadors asked local Incas how their ancestors built it, they were told the knowledge had been lost, that even they didn't know how the walls were created. Some theories suggest the Inca used techniques to soften stone temporarily. Others propose acids derived from plants, but no method has been proven. The walls remain perfect, unexplained, and humble. 7 technologies, centuries of study, billions of dollars in modern science. And still, we can't fully replicate what our ancestors created. Roman concrete that heals itself, Damascus steel with nanostructures, a Greek computer that predicted eclipses, violins with impossible acoustics, liquid fire that burned on water, flexible glass destroyed by fear, and stone-cutting precision that defies explanation. These aren't tales of magic or mythology. These are documented achievements of human ingenuity, lost because knowledge was kept secret, because civilizations fell, because we forgot to write things down. It forces a question we don't like to ask. What else have we forgotten? What other knowledge lies buried, waiting to be rediscovered? Perhaps the greatest technology still waiting to be recovered is humility. Our ancestors knew things we don't. Let that sink in. If you found this fascinating, subscribe to ShadowFile Studio and hit the bell. We explore lost technologies, ancient mysteries, and unexplained history every week. Click the video on screen to discover another mystery that science still can't explain. Until next time, remember what was lost.